Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, I want to highlight that BlackRock bought another 1,388 Bitcoin and they now hold 700,000 Bitcoin. They continue to accumulate despite volatility in the market, tariff news, tariff crashes, wars, whatever it is. They continue to accumulate, and they're not only accumulating Bitcoin, but they're accumulating Ethereum because they have a Bitcoin spot and an Ethereum spot ETFs. So we know they're putting their clients' money into these ETFs, and the accumulation continues. It's incredible what the world's wealthiest asset manager is doing. And we've often talked about how smart money, they buy the blood, fear, depression, and they don't care about the emotions of the market. They don't care about the news in the market. They are just buying based on the data and the fundamentals. And this is where they often beat out retail because they are patient. They accumulate when the prices are not pumping. They buy when things are consolidating or there's a pullback, and then they sell the pumps. And that's what I've been trying to share with many of you so that you come out of the herd mentality, that you're not following mainstream media, but you're following data, chart analysis, macro information, as well as on-chain data. So this is pretty incredible. Now, tomorrow's going to be a big day, folks. There's going to be a Senate hearing on crypto. I had reported yesterday that Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse will be in attendance. And today he actually released his speech or his testimony that he's going to be, talking about tomorrow. Now, the other folks that are going to be joining Brad includes former CFTC Commissioner and Blockchain Association CEO Summer Mersinger, former CFTC Chair Timothy Massad, and Chainalysis CEO Jonathan Levin. So I'll give you guys the updates tomorrow based on what we hear and if there are any major takeaways. But it's great to see the dialogue is happening as we are on the cusp of getting crypto legislation passed. And today I interviewed Congressman French Hill, who is the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. And as you all know, he and the rest of the folks in the House announced Crypto Week, which is next week, starting July 14th, where the House will be reviewing the stablecoin bill called the Genius Act, the market structure bill called the Clarity Act, and the anti-CBDC bill. Now, if the Genius Act gets passed in the House, it goes straight to Trump for signature. So we went through all of this. We broke it down. That interview will be published on Friday morning. So make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell enabled. And we go through the CBDC bill, the anti-CBDC bill, and much more. And here's an interesting narrative that President Trump said today, which aligns with getting the stablecoin bill passed. Trump said, if we lose the U.S. as the standard dollar, it's like losing a war. So essentially what he's talking about is if the U.S. dollar was to lose the world reserve currency status. And stablecoin legislation will help bolster and expand the use of the U.S. dollar because you're going to have it accessible globally, digitally, and the stablecoin issuers have to back their reserves with U.S. Treasury. So it's a win-win all around. Now, speaking of Trump's Truth Social files for an index-based crypto ETF. This would initially hold approximately 70% Bitcoin, 15% ETH, 8% SOL, 5% CRO, that's the Crypto.com token, and 2% XRP. So essentially a basket ETF here. So you continue to see Trump and his companies are making big bets on crypto. So if you're bearish on crypto, you're missing what's happening right before your eyes. You may love Trump or you may hate Trump. That's not the point. The point is big stakeholders, even in the government, the president and his kids are taking a bet on this technology because it's the future. And you can imagine they're not creating these things because the price is about to tank into a bear market, but there is upside and they're going to make money off of it. So once again, even if you don't like the fact that they're doing this, it's still a fact of they are bullish. And it's not only this, you got Wall Street. I just started the podcast highlighting BlackRock now holds 700,000 Bitcoin. They have a lot of ETH as well. Nate Geraci of the ETF store added his comments to this news saying, again, he says, I think we're going to see massive wave of crypto index ETF filings. He says, by the way, Grayscale can't be happy having a state issued on their GDLC approval order. First to market matters. SEC holding up Grayscale digital large cap ETF jeopardizes that advantage. So Grayscale, they had gotten an initial approval, but then the SEC put a hold on it like a couple of days later. So let's see what happens here. It would not be nice that if Trump's True Social Index ETF gets approved ahead of Grayscale. So let's hope the SEC does the right thing here. Now, Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, he was on Bloomberg today and he talked about tokenization and he said this is the biggest innovation in the past decade. He followed that up on X with a post saying, I believe tokenization is the greatest capital markets innovation since the central limit order book. So folks, Larry Fink, a CEO of BlackRock, had stated just a couple of years ago, tokenization is the future of finance because you're going to put all these stocks, equities, and commodities on the blockchain, which will allow the market to trade 24/7, open up more liquidity, create truly global markets. And you're going to see capital flowing in from around the globe into these assets. Obviously, you'll have fractionalization as well, and there will be no opening or closing bell, no holidays, no nights or weekends or things like that. These things are going to be trading nonstop, folks. So it's a brave new world we're heading to. And let me play the clip here, what Vlad had to say.
And you probably saw last week, Chairman Atkins of the SEC gave an interview about tokenization. He called it a great innovation. And we agree with that. We think tokenization is perhaps the biggest innovation to come into capital markets in the past decade.
So bullish statements here from Vlad and Robinhood. As you all know, they are neck deep in crypto, expanding to Europe, launching tokenized stocks, launching different types of crypto products. Notice how aggressive they're being because they know what's coming and they want to grab as much market share as possible. And, the smart thing on their part, they have this huge customer database already from the stock trading ethos of Robinhood, right? It started with stock trading, and it's an easy plug and play here for crypto for them to get the business and more adoption. So they're certainly a massive on-ramp. The brand is very strong. Lots of people use Robinhood. I've been using Robinhood for years to dabble in different stocks and much more. So it's a very smart move on their part. And, they know that the rest of Wall Street's coming, Charles Schwab and all these guys. So they are trying to get ahead of the curve here. So really bullish statements from Vlad. Now, folks, a quick word from our sponsor, and that is Trezor. Trezor makes beautiful hardware wallets that make it easy for you to safely store your crypto. Trezor was the first to pioneer crypto hardware wallets. They started doing this in 2013. They created the seed phrase setup, and their hardware wallets are open source. They support a variety of tokens, XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, you name it, all the latest crypto assets. And they have a great software called Trezor Suite, which helps you to manage these assets on the device. Now, personally, I'm a user of the Trezor Safe 5. It's a beautiful device, very easy to use. And right now, Trezor is running a great promotion. They're celebrating 1 year of the Trezor Safe 5 and Trezor Expert, and they're giving a big discount. So 20% off the Trezor Safe 5 and 30% off the Trezor Expert. So if you go to their website, you can see this promotion, and it runs from today, July 8th through July 11th. So if you want to get a device, a Trezor Safe 5 like what I have, you can definitely do that and get a huge discount. And also the hand-holding service where a Trezor Expert helps you to onboard and set up your device. You can get a big discount there as well. So once again, it's 20% off the device, the Trezor Safe 5, and 30% off the Expert service. So check it out, folks. This is an amazing deal. And once again, I'm a user of the product, so it's a great product, and you can safely store your crypto. I'm a big believer in self-custody, so check it out, guys. Link will be in the description. Now, folks, we continue to see the trend of crypto being used as a treasury reserve asset. It continues to grow, and we're seeing this happening globally, not only with Bitcoin, but other coins such as Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and much more. So this is an interesting name, but bear with me. Ego Death Capital raises $100 million to finance Bitcoin-focused startups. The venture fund has already invested in Bitcoin-focused exchanges, savings platforms, and payment solutions. So, folks, you're seeing capital being raised here to invest in this asset class, whether it's putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet or investing in the companies. We're seeing VCs and hedge funds pouring in tons of capital. So the fund aims to back Series A rounds for companies generating between $1 million and $3 million in annual revenue. Founding partner Nico Leshuga told Axios in an exclusive interview. Lashuga said he sees Bitcoin as the only decentralized and secure base to be able to build on. Now, I disagree with that. Obviously, they're taking the Bitcoin bet and everybody talks their book, but you got many blockchains out there. It's going to be a multi-chain world. And Bitcoin, we've seen, has not been able to do what smart contract blockchains are doing, like ETH, Solana, and others, because smart contracts enable a very different use case than what Bitcoin does, which is proof of work. And look, nothing wrong with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a great store of value, digital gold, very scarce, the most decentralized blockchain out there, has a very strong brand, very liquid. So I hold it in my portfolio, but to say it's the best to build on, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? And obviously over time, there could be iteration where they build layer twos and things like that on Bitcoin. But so far the folks who have tried to do that have not really had major success because Bitcoin is a different beast and it has its own swim lane, in my opinion, and that is hard money and all the things I mentioned before. So let's see how this plays out. But nevertheless, you're seeing people are very bullish and they're raising capital and investing it in the asset class. Now look at this. Reserve One to go public via merger, create crypto reserve. So another one, right? So Reserve One, a digital asset management company, will go public through a merger with M3 Brigade Acquisition V Corp, the company announced Tuesday. The transaction is expected to generate more than $1 billion in gross proceeds that will back up the company's crypto reserve strategy through the accumulation of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, among other digital assets. So notice we're seeing not only Bitcoin, but the basket, right? They're holding Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, some other folks are doing XRP. So I hope you see the direction we're heading in. And like I've been saying, it'll start with Bitcoin. I was saying that, since day one, it'll start with Bitcoin, then I'll go to ETH, Solana, and others. So this is a paradigm shift, folks. I couldn't even imagine this when I got into the market in 2016, that companies would be putting crypto in their balance sheet. It's incredible. Now, many of you may recall Sharplink Gaming is the company that decided to go exclusively with Ethereum for its Treasury reserve strategy, and they now hold 205,634 ETH, and they've earned 322 ETH in staking since launching its Treasury strategy in June. That's pretty incredible. And I've often stated the staking component for proof of stake blockchains is a big incentive, and wait till they add staking to the Ethereum ETFs. You're going to see massive inflows. So many companies are going to want to go to Ethereum route because they naturally easily get the yield, even Solana, right? Because there's the staking component. So that is an advantage against other tokens that are not proof of stake. Now, there are companies using Bitcoin in different ways to generate yield, but I think the staking is a much stronger incentive. But let's see how it plays out. But this is huge. And Joe Lubin, who's now on the board, I believe he's an advisor of this company. They all together rang the closing bell at the Nasdaq today, and Joe Lubin also went on CNBC today to talk about this and the ETH Treasury strategy and much more. And it's pretty incredible what's happening. So he's taking a big bet there. The folks in Ethereum as well are taking a big bet here collectively. So interesting news. And look at this. Ethereum treasury firm BTCS surges 100% on $100 million ETH buying plan. So they are a NASDAQ listed firm, and they have been a pioneer of the crypto treasury strategy, focusing on the native token of the Ethereum blockchain since 2021, well before the recent newcomers. So a lot of these guys are seeing the stock benefits. I recently interviewed the folks at Vivo Power, which they are using XRP. I interviewed the CEO of DeFi Development Corp. They're using Solana. So you're just seeing companies, some using the index basket approach, some using Bitcoin specifically, some using ETH specifically, XRP specifically, Solana specifically. So it's very interesting how this is playing out. So the company plans to raise capital through traditional and decentralized financial markets, including selling equity, convertible debt, and borrowing stablecoins on Aave. Very interesting that they're doing a combination of the traditional way and decentralized finance. That's a big endorsement of DeFi. So BTCS has been a pioneer in crypto treasury strategies and held 14,600 ETH as of June. Smart move on their part. They bought ETH very low as well, and that's going to pay off very well for them. So, guys, I mean, it's incredible what's happening. Here's some more news. So DeFi Development Corp, I mentioned, I interviewed the CEO. Well, they bought more Solana. They said they hold 690,420 Solana, a plus 64 increase. So, I mean, that's just incredible what's happening, guys. Now, one of the things I have been saying is that this could lead to some sort of bubble. So we got to watch out here. This is why I'll remind you, have your profit taking plan. All bull markets end. They don't last forever. There will be a bear market. There will be a correction. Now, the argument could be made that it won't be as bad as the previous bull markets we've seen, but we just don't know what the catalyst is. There's usually collapses. I've often stated that nothing wrong with these companies doing these things, but when you have a lot of them doing this, the probability that some are going to fail is pretty high, right? Because it's just the nature, the law of averages. And we've seen when leverage is used, if it's not managed well, there could be blowups. So just be prepared. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I've studied markets. I've looked at the stock market and so forth and what has happened historically. And we humans are speculative by nature. And man, we love leverage and we love to keep pumping it up. And then greed enters and you guys know what happens. But that's not going to happen to us because I've been telling you for years, have a profit taking plan so you walk away from the bull market with money in your pockets and that you can use that money wisely. I've told you my plan. Spend some of it, of course, pay off debt, put some money into retirement, obviously, take some of that money and reinvest it in the bloody bear markets. When this thing crashes, I'm backing up the truck and buying like I did in December 2022 with the FTX crash. That's already paying off for me. I have the receipts. I've shared it many times over the years. And that's what I'm going to do, guys. So, follow me along this journey. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm using the data and the metrics and so forth to at least figure out what's happening here versus emotions, right? We don't want to be part of the dumb money crowd. We do not want to invest with our feelings. So, again, check out my interview with the CEO of DeFi Development Corp as they continue to add more Solana to their treasury strategy. Now, look at this. Projective Finance opens up $7 million on-chain lending pool for Illinois solar projects. The sustainability-focused platform uses Avalanche to tokenize municipal loans, giving DeFi investors direct exposure to government-backed renewable energy infrastructure. This is significant. First, you're seeing the convergence of government and these crypto protocols and projects. Second, DeFi being used here. And third, Avalanche, the blockchain, getting adoption. I have some of the native token Avax in my portfolio. So yesterday we talked about the news of the Detroit Pistons, building their rewards program on Avalanche, joining the Cleveland Cavaliers. So Avalanche is getting a lot of adoption, by the way. So that's a pretty solid project. But guys, look at what's happening here. I know this is not the sexiest news, but the state of Illinois solar projects being integrated into DeFi and using blockchain. I mean, man, this is what you want to see, right? This is why we're here taking our bets, guys. So the lending pool will fund solar energy installations across school districts in the state of Illinois with infrastructure loans executed entirely on chain, Projective Finance said. By leveraging blockchain technology, what traditionally required multiple intermediaries, fund structures, and minimum investments in the tens of millions can now be accessed directly with full transparency, said Josh Chinnaswamy, Projective Finance's co-founder. Folks, don't miss what's happening here. This is significant because it involves, at least for those of you in the United States, the state of Illinois, local government, state government doing this, actively partnering and to get this done. And this could be very game changing, this model, because even on the city level and let alone the state level, you could have new ways of fundraising to help build proper buildings and schooling and infrastructure. And you as an individual can participate. If it's DeFi, you could lend out your funds and obviously make a return. This is a game changer. Before you couldn't really do that, and you couldn't really even trust some of the intermediaries, right? But the fact that you can do this digitally, it's not like you have to travel to Illinois to do it. this is the game-changing aspect of DeFi and blockchain, folks. It's amazing, and just imagine this happening globally. That let's say I want to lend some crypto or whatever it is, stable coins to some country in Africa, or I don't know, New Zealand or somewhere in Europe, whatever it is, small city, they want to fund something, and I believe in it, and I lend them, and I earn a yield, right, a return, and I'm supporting something that I believe in. It's a game changer. And you can do that many times over because the world is a very big place. You have many countries, many folks who need help. So this is just awesome, man. And I hope you guys recognize what is happening. And it's not making the big headlines on Fox and CNN and whatever it is, right? But paying attention to things like this is going to help you to see where the puck is heading and where you can capitalize and make money in this market, not just from an investment, but participating in DeFi and so forth. Now, final news item here, Jack Dorsey unveils BitChat, offline, encrypted messaging inspired by Bitcoin. Much like Bitcoin eliminates reliance on centralized intermediaries in finance, BitChat removes central authorities from digital communication. So we know Jack, big time Bitcoiner, big time believer in blockchain, and he's a very smart guy. Obviously, has had a lot of success. And this is very fascinating because if you can do some sort of chat via offline, via Bluetooth, and I'll give you the details here, that means you can probably move crypto. So this could be a game changer. It may not be fully there yet, but you can imagine further iteration will, as the technology and phones and much more evolves, we're going to be able to do that. So Jack Dorsey has published a white paper for BitChat, a decentralized messaging protocol that enables fully encrypted communication without the internet. BitChat would operate over Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE, allowing nearby devices to form a mesh network that relays hop by hop. Fascinating, folks. I'm so excited to see how these technologies pan out, but I think Jack is onto something here. Once again, you don't have to like the guy. That's not what we're talking about here. But the fact that this technology could be used in many different ways. So just imagine without the internet, you can be able to send funds, communicate with somebody, and if they're in a respective radius, uh, and that's a game changer. That is going to be a game changer. Let's see how the governments, deal with this, though. They may not like it because these governments, Big Brother, they want to know everything that's going on. But nevertheless, this is fascinating. And man, I would love to interview Jack Dorsey about this. I'm going to try to get him, but he's a hard guy to get. He doesn't do too many interviews, but I'm sure he's going to integrate the ability to move Bitcoin, and that's going to lead to the moving stable coins and other assets. So really, really incredible stuff here. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. A great way you can support me is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free. It's on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you every aspect of crypto. So expand your knowledge. Check it out. Link will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching and listening, folks. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.